and record. So even though my monster he's barefoot, he has 5 toes, I'm not going to model a foot with toes. You would essentially do the same thing as I did with the hand. But for most of you, you're gonna model a character with a shoe on. It's a lot easier. So I'm gonna start with.
Did you hit record?
Yes.
I didn't get the notification that it said it was recording. I think that means it's not doing it right.
Yeah, it's recording. It says pause recording or stop recording. And I heard it on my end. It told me that it's recording.
Okay.
So I'm going to start with Polygon Primitives cube. And it's already pretty close to where I want it to be. I'm going to go to the front view. And I'm going to drag it into position, more or less into position. Let's see. Yeah. And then I'm going to change the center pivot down to the grid. And I'm going to scale this as, oh, let's see, that's not what I wanted. Actually, I'll go back to the face, the perspective view for a second and grab that top face and maybe go to the right view. And I'm going to scale it down so that it's closer to the size of the foot. Then I'm going to take the front and the back of that foot, and I'm going to extrude them to give me some more geometry. And extrude those out. It's not working. Extrude those out. What happened? There we go. Yeah, let me line it up with the front view. I'm sorry, the side view, the right view. There we go. Right, maybe I'll just push the whole thing back a little bit. That's pretty good. Maybe I'll scale the whole thing a little bit wider. That's pretty good. Now I'm going to drop this face so that I'm going to drop it and, oh, did it not select it? No, oh, I have 2 faces selected. Front view, right view. Drop that, oh, what is going on? Huh, there we go. I don't know why it did that. So I'm going to drop this face and I'm also going to rotate it so that it lines up a little bit better with the profile of my foot. In fact, I'm going to take this edge, I double clicked on it, and I'm going to drag it to where the foot starts. So you can see it's taking shape pretty nicely. It's not really obvious. Let me go to the back view. Maybe it'll be more obvious from the back view. The back of the heel is obviously not the same size as the ball of the foot. So I'm going to take this face on the heel and scale it in a little bit and maybe move it a little bit to the inside. And I'll go to the front view and do the same thing with it, well, the opposite, I guess, with the toes. So I'll scale them out and then I'll move them into position. And again, I'm not modeling all the toes. I'm just modeling as if you were wearing a shoe. And it's not really obvious. If I had a bottom view of the feet, you would see the footprint. But I know that I need to build some, I need to fill out this area of the foot. So I'm going to drag it out. And I'm also going to rotate it so that there's more bulk out there. And the important thing to connect with the leg is I need to have enough geometry here. So if I turn the leg on, and I basically took the leg off of the arm. Oh, it's already on. So there's a leg. So same thing with the arm. It's going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 So I need to have 10 edges for it to connect to. So like I did with the hand, I'm going to split this down the middle. I'm going to say insert edge loop and split it down the middle. And then I'm also going to split it down the sides. Insert edge loop. 1. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So that should be 10 right there. Let me actually move this a little bit. Oops. I have 2 selected. Edge. And I'll drag this back. There we go. Oops. Double click on it. Now drag it back. You know what? I'm going to add more detail because I don't want the foot to come all the way out to the side. If you had a sneaker or a shoe, you're going to need some more geometry along this edge. So I'm going to model this as if he's wearing a shoe instead of just a barefoot. So I'm going to add more geometry. Another insert edge loop right here, and another one right here. So again, counting 1, 2, 3, 4. Oops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I need 2 more to connect this foot to the ankle. So I'm going to pull this in a little bit and add 1 more edge loop right here. And that should do it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There we go. And then I would delete out the 4 faces. And that's how I'm going to connect the foot into the ankle. And you don't want this square, so you can certainly, maybe select these vertices, the corner vertices, and scale them together. And that starts to round it. You can also really go to town with the sculpt geometry tool. Before I do that, though, I'm going to give him more geometry across the side. So insert edge loop. Maybe that'll be the bottom of the shoe where the rubber separate. I would probably, if I'm going to add like rubber, like a sole, I'd probably add 3 edge loops down here so you can have enough geometry to create a seam. And then, I don't know, maybe 1 more up here to add more detail. Maybe up here, maybe I'll add. So total, I added 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more edge loops to give me the detail that I want. And you can add more, or maybe you don't need that much. Just depends on what you want to do. I'm going to go to the bottom view for a second. And this is still pretty square. So I'm going to take the vertex. Oops, let me turn off the leg so I don't keep selecting it. Let me turn everything off but the shoe. All right. From the bottom view, I have the torso selected. Torso. Yeah. Add selected. Okay. So I'm going to pull these in so it's not quite so rounded. And I want to do this before I do the insert edge loop. I'm sorry, not the insert edge, the what's it called? Sculpt geometry tool. The sculpt geometry tool very often is restricted by the outer edge of your object. So if you want it to be more round, you probably want to start rounding it before you get to using the insert edge loop, or I keep saying insert edge loop, the sculpt geometry tool. Let's see what that looks like. Oh, I did it backwards. I made I should have moved these down and pull these up because the big toe is going to be higher than the pinky toe. Anyway, something more like that. Maybe pull these in a little bit. And I really think I probably need more geometry. So for sure, you need more geometry where the ball of the foot bends. So I'm going to add a couple more edge loops here and here. And then maybe 1 or 2 more for the toes right there. So that's going to give you, thinking about where your joints are going to be, you'll have a big ankle joint, and then that's going to lead into the ball of your foot. and then your toe joints. So that should give you enough bend to get the shape that you want out of your shoe, even if he's wearing a sneaker. So I'll just kind of shape this with the sculpt geometry. Oh, well, so if you had if this was not a Bigfoot, you'd have arch in here. So I would move these joints in to have more of an arch. Maybe even pull these guys up a little bit, like a normal foot. And if you have a heel, you could add more geometry there, but it's basically the same. You just add a little bit more geometry. You could, for a heel, I would, for a woman's heel or a man's heel, I would just make an extrusion as much as you needed, maybe a couple extrusions to get the heel that you want, but I'll just keep it simple for now. And then the last thing is just to take your sculpt geometry tool and just relax stuff. Just make it feel more organic. In fact, I'm going to turn off the wireframe or the X-ray so I can see a little bit better. So I don't know if you can tell, but sculpt geometry tool is one of my favorite tools in Maya. I always use it. It really starts to make it feel like it's clay in my hands that I'm just molding and manipulating. Oh, one thing I haven't mentioned, which is kind of important, I just got used to using the settings that I use for sculpt geometry tool. You can see that my opacity is really, really small, 0.004. If you use it, like even if you use it like at 0.5, it just, with this tool, it may not be too bad, but with the other settings, it's just, you start to get really way too much influence. So I like to keep my opacity way down to 0.004 or 0.0044. And then I have all the control I need. I can just, move around it and relax stuff. It's just almost a Zen experience. Makes me feel like an artist. Anyway, so that's what I would do with a shoe. Yeah, and I would probably go back through. I think I did a little bit. I had too much fun through here. I would. Sorry. I'm going to take back some of this smoothing that I did, because we want those to be sort of close together, so that when your toe, the ball of your foot does bend there's not going to be so much separation in the geometry. So I'll just scale these in a little bit. And if you wanted to, you could also maybe just drop these edges down a little bit, because walking in our shoes, you start to get this permanent crease in our shoe anyway. So you could drop that a little bit for a little bit more realism. And if you wanted to, you could add a tongue for a sneaker or whatever, but this is what you're going to need, at least this much geometry to be able to connect the foot to the ankle. So I'm going to stop the recording there. Actually, before I do, let me answer this question. Could you, let's see. Oh, that's not a question. All right. So I'm going to stop the video.